Whether you think of these children as missing depends on whether you're their Norwegian mother or their American father. The children are caught in a kind of legal no man's land between Norway and the United States. That may seem surprising, since Norway is America's old friend and NATO ally, not, you'd think, the kind of country that would help its citizens defy American law, which is exactly what we thought too, until the Better Government Association and WBBM Radio in Chicago told us about a man who went to Norway and learned the truth the hard way. It's a dream country, Norway, picturesque and tranquil. And that's what an American named Larry Risk expected when he came here on sabbatical in 1983 with his wife and 2 children. But instead, Larry Risk ended up living a nightmare.
You can steal my car, you can evict me from my apartment, but you shouldn't take my children.
Risk has spent a year of his life and more than $50,000 walking the streets of Norway, searching for his children.
I had no idea when I went there the Norwegian government had done it. I had no idea that the Norwegian government was in the kidnapping business. I had no idea of that.
But you're convinced of it now?
Oh, absolutely.
For Larry Risk, it all began when he married a Norwegian woman living in the United States named Elizabeth Antonsen. Their 2 children, named Karima and Jamil, were born in San Francisco. But on a visit to Norway, Elizabeth became homesick and decided to stay in Norway with the children. So the couple separated, and against his wife's wishes, Larry brought the children, both American citizens, back home, where a California court awarded the Risks joint custody on the condition that they give up their passports and the children's passports, so that neither parent could take the children out of the country. But one day, Larry Risk came home and discovered that his wife had done just that.
There were a few oatmeal bowls in the kitchen from breakfast, and no clothes were taken, no coats, nothing.
How long has it been since you saw your children?
July 15, 1984. Was on a
It could have been just another bitter custody battle, but one thing made it different. The Norwegian government was behind it all. After Elizabeth took her children from their home in this quiet San Francisco neighborhood, she sought help from the San Francisco Norwegian Seamen's Church, which put her in contact with the Norwegian consulate in Los Angeles. Even though the consulate had been informed that she was under a U.S. court order not to take the children out of the state, Norwegian officials paid for her airline tickets and provided her with travel documents issued under her maiden name.
So you think they made a calculated decision to do something that was illegal?
Yeah. Yes, I do believe that. I mean, there was all kinds of subterfuge involved here.
Norwegian-born reporter Geir Akes says Norwegian diplomatic officials lied to him when he began investigating the Risk case for his Brooklyn-based newspaper, the Norway Times.
A year and a half ago, I called the consulate in L.A., and I called other of their uppers, you know, the embassy and so on, and I said, did any of these consulates issue a new passport or any other formal travel document to these people? And the answer was no.
No.
No. No, sir. That's not true. They did.
Not only had the consulate issued the documents, but phony documents, calling Elizabeth and her children Norwegian seamen.
I mean, an American kid born in America through a passport trick and some little all he was suddenly, by the stroke of a pen, made a Norwegian citizen and a commercial seaman at that. Yeah. They became seamen. Did you know that?
In order to get them out of the country?
Yeah.
I mean, these little children were...
Commercial seamen. The certificate that was done makes them commercial seamen.
On July 16, 1984, Elizabeth Risk used those travel documents to board SAS Flight 932 from Los Angeles International Airport to Copenhagen and then on to Norway. A California court later charged her with the abduction of her children. That didn't seem to trouble the Norwegian government, but it brought Larry Risk to the beautiful city of Bergen, Norway, in search of his children.
You know Karima?
When he showed up at his daughter's school unannounced this past June, we went with him with a hidden camera.
I do. I'm the father, and I have the right to know where my children are. And you lied to me when I was here before.
We can't tell you anything.
They clearly recognize you.
Yeah, they knew me when I walked in.
And they're under some kind of orders about you, evidently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
To tell you nothing.
to tell me nothing.
Then just before leaving, Larry pulled out a picture of Karima to show to the other children.
Will they tell her that you were here?
Yeah, they'll tell her that I was here, and that's why I do it, so the other children will tell her that your dad was here looking for you. So she'll know that. Even though I don't see her, she'll know that I was looking for her.
For 2.5 years, Larry Risk has been traveling back and forth from the United States to Norway, begging help from the social welfare agencies, hounding the Norwegian Ministry of Justice, asking why they won't help a father, even a foreign father, see his children.
They really believe that a child should grow up in Norway.
I believe that if you took a poll in the Norwegian population, the people who would say that this is beyond anything, this is without a doubt the finest country in the world in which a child could grow up, I think that you would find people who would agree with that statement would be in the 90s.
Even if they get there by abduction.
In the end, what happens is the kids are there. How they got there is another thing.
When we visited Elizabeth Risk's apartment in Bergen, neighbors told us that she had left suddenly with the children just a few days before Larry Risk arrived there. Apparently, every time he comes into the country, Norwegian authorities give her some kind of warning. But after Larry Risk went back to America, she resurfaced and appeared on Norwegian television with one of her children beside her.
So you think that you had the right to take them with you?
Yes, I didn't have the right, but I had the duty to take them with me.
What good is custody if you have no protection from your children being kidnapped by a foreign government?
The Risk case has caused a firestorm of controversy in Norway. More than 100 newspaper articles, pro and con, focused attention on another case, the case of Tor Johnstad.
It's a nightmare for me all the time. Especially what I mentioned before, that I never got the chance to speak to Tor about the situation, to tell him I love you no matter how long I'm going to be gone. I'm going to love you same, and I'll do whatever I can do for you, and I'm your father as long as I am around.
Harold Johnstad and his Norwegian wife Britt had lived in a suburb of Chicago since 1978 with their 2 children, Tor and Elizabeth. But when Britt, who had the children with her, refused to come back from an extended visit to Norway, the couple separated. She tried to get custody of the children in a Norwegian court, even though the children were raised in the United States. But the court granted custody to Harold Johnstad instead. While his wife appealed that decision, Harold went to Norway and brought the children back home to America. Even though the children wanted to remain together, Britt soon showed up in Chicago and asked a Chicago court for custody of only one of her children, her son Tor. Judge Lewis Morgan was presiding.
I asked the mother about it, and the mother said, I don't want the daughter, because if I take the daughter, she's going to poison my son and get him to leave. So she told me later that she didn't, the mother told me that she didn't want the daughter for that reason.
Britt got temporary custody of her son on the condition that she not leave the state and surrender her Norwegian passport to the court. What the judge didn't know at the time was that the Norwegian government had already initiated a series of telexes to its consulate in Chicago. One telex asking if child abduction is criminal in Illinois and instructing its consulate there to give Britt the best possible assistance, including a passport to get her son out of the country. Tor's sister Elizabeth remembers their last night together.
Well, I tried to stay awake because I had heard my mother and her lawyer talking about passports and traveling.
Did you try to prevent his being taken without your knowing it in the night?
Well, we were sort of tied together.
You tied yourselves together, your hands together, your legs together. You were so afraid you'd be taken?
Mm-hmm. You know, I eventually fell asleep. Then when I woke up the next morning, he was gone, my mother was gone.
What irritates me a bit is that Norwegian diplomatic representatives decided to show disregard for American law. Well, here's your recipe. You need an attorney, and then you need to show up in court with a straight face, and then you need to set up such an apparatus that you can abscond with a whole schmear in the middle of the night.
And telex traffic and other documents obtained by Harold Johnstad show how Norwegian officials in the United States planned the abduction of his son. First, they arranged for his wife to get money at one of their consulates, and then advised her to go to New York, where the Norwegian Consul General issued Britt and her son new passports, and personally took them to Kennedy Airport, where they caught an SAS flight to Norway.
It's been 4 years they have not seen him. On one occasion in 1984, I saw him for 10 minutes on the street under supervision of his mother and grandparents.
Could you speak with him?
We could not exchange any words. We just looked at each other. I hugged him and we exchanged. I gave him presents, bicycle and other presents I brought with me. And that's all I could do, and then I left.
When we went to Norway, we visited Tor's school, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. But his mother had been warned of our arrival, and there were dozens of blonde-haired little boys, but no sign of Tor. She declined to talk with us on camera, and in a court proceeding this past summer, where her son was supposed to testify in the presence of his father, she kept Tor away from his father and fled from our cameras.
It's like, to me, it's like psychological terror. I'm all the time waiting, hoping somebody will deal with the situation intelligently.
Which raises the question we wondered about too. How can an American ally like Norway flagrantly defy American law? We wanted to ask Norwegian officials if it's government policy to assist in the abduction of children and keep those children from seeing their American parents. But Norwegian officials wouldn't talk with us. And what about the U.S. State Department? Officials there say there's nothing they can do. The U.S. has approved treaties on everything from arms control to fishing rights, but the treaty on the return of abducted children has not been approved by the U.S. or Norway. And Norway isn't the only country which shelters abducted children. American children born in America, like Stephen Kneiser, abducted by his father from California to Lebanon when he was 16 months old. His American mother hasn't seen him in 7 years, and the Lebanese government won't offer any help. George and Anastasia Kovios, 2 other American children, taken by their father to Greece in 1980, now living with grandparents in a remote Greek village. Jason Amini, another American child abducted by his Iranian father from California in 1982, whereabouts unknown. Over the past decade, more than 2,000 children have been abducted to countries around the world, and no one knows if their American parents will ever see them again.
I told Karima and I told Jamil that if you ever wake up in Norway, they knew this, that don't give up, go out, meet kids, go to, do what you can, make friends, but know that the fact that you don't see me doesn't mean that I don't love you. The fact that you don't see your dad doesn't mean that he's abandoned you. You must know that I'll be looking for you, searching for you, and I'll never give up.